Okay guys, slowly moving on now. Hopefully should be receiving my rifle within the next sort of 24 hours, so I need to crack on, get some ammunition finally reloaded, or finally loaded for the first time. I should be using the Wilson dies for the simple fact that I put all the time and effort into the case preparation, brass preparation, and the bullet sorting, paint, and getting everything as uniform as possible. I'm gonna stay with hand dies as opposed to press dies. Okay, you'll have to bear with me because I've got a cold, so I'll try and do this as simple and easy as possible. Right, I've got the neck size and die taken apart. Okay, obviously I'm going to need a bushing in it. Now, what I could do, pick one of the 2 or 3 size bushings. What I'm going to pick is one in the middle. I'm going to seat, resize one case, seat a bullet, and see what the overall is to make sure that my measurements, what they've ended up to what I have worked out on paper, what they should end up. For this argument, I'm going to pick a 310 bushing. Okay, so we can put them away. Just tighten that top down. Don't drop anything. The bushings go with the numbers pointing up, okay? So just snug them down. Okay, there's a screw on the side here which alters the resistance of the depriming tool. I'm going to leave that as set as factory, okay? Right. Just align my press so I know it's going to hit everything. Like so. So, right. Cases I'm using my practice cases. There's so many of these, so many of the actual match brass, and then so many of the ones on the other side of weighed heavy. So these will be what I use for working out my loads. Okay. So we know everything has been done to them so far except for actually sizing them. Need that. That's actually next size now. That's where you deprime it. That will also push the case out of the holder, like so. Right. Okay. I'll do one more, then that'll confirm everything. So you can see it. I'll try and do it left-handed. That's actually sized the neck because obviously the bushing is down here. So when you force it down, it'll size it. Turn it over. That would deprime it, but in this case it's not because we're obviously virgin brass. That'll just push out the case holder. Right, so at the moment we don't need them, but we know this has got a 310 bushing. Okay. Okay guys, here we've got the Wilson seating die. This bit is a stop at the end, keeps the seating die actually nice and flat and square, and also provides a point where the die will stop seating again, so it'll push against when you cycle the ram. This is the micrometer that sets the seating depth. By twisting up and down you can make the bullet seat in further or out. Just raise this up. When you stroke the ram, this goes down, and this just holds this nice and square and gives it something to sit against. Okay, make sure there's nothing between that and the Arbor base plate, otherwise you're going to get slightly deep seating variances, depth set variances, because obviously the distance is shorter. Okay, 2 bullets which I'm now going to dry load to get my workings out for my bushing size, and 2 cases which we just sized, which I think is the size we'll need. So actually for the actual seating depth, I'm not worried about that yet because I haven't got the rifle. I don't know what the through is. I just need to seat a bullet to actually get what bushing size I need. So crank this right down. Okay. I'll take an overall picture just so you can see the seating depth. Okay, that's the bullet is now seated. A little tool here for extracting them. Obviously I need to go down a little bit further. Right, we'll put that same bullet back in. Just hope we can get a bit more seating depth. I'm not after a seating depth yet, but the bullet's got to go in below the neck, below the shoulder for the bearing surface, so it's expanding the neck all the way down. There we go, that should hopefully do it. I'll give it one bit more. There we go. Okay. Pull that out. Just check you can see how far the bullet is seated down, roughly comparing the two. So the bottom of the boot tail, okay, I don't know if you can see that. The bottom of the boot tail, if I roughly get them the same, the bottom of the boot tail is just in the shoulder neck junction, which is more or less where that'll be anyway, hopefully. We've got the free bore right on the rifle. Can you see that? Okay, I'll take another close-up one now of the actual seating, so you can see what's going on. Right, just cycle the ram, seat the bullet. There we go. And it stops at the set distance. Obviously, if you wanna, I'll show you this later on, but you crank it out or up to make the bullet seat longer. Okay. Right. We don't need that. We don't need that for now. I'll just reposition this camera. Okay. So you can see we've got our 2 dummy rounds. No primer, no powder, so they're totally safe, inert. We only want to know what I need to resize the rest of the new brass to. So we've done these, we've partially resized these and seated a bullet just so that we can tell the overall dimensions with a loaded round on the neck, okay? With a decent set of micrometers. Just crank them out. I'm looking in the region of a loaded round overall in the region of about 310. Don't know if you could be able to see this, but I'll take some stills of this in a minute. $311.50. Just give it a spin round, just make sure we are talking on the same. $311.4, so it's $311.50 bar half a thou. Oh, let's try with this one. There we go. Just to prove that everything we've done so far, just get it 311.50. I'll take some pictures of that so you can see. Okay, there you can see that round is the 311.50 and the other one was the same. So we now know what the loaded round will be overall. I know from the reamer prints, which I'll explain to you when I get the rifle and all the bits with it, that the neck chamber size, or the chamber neck size, is 0.313. So that gives us 0.0015 clearance on the chamber. Okay, 1.5 thou. It's not a lot. If you get a bit of grit in there, you could have problems, but that's what we do. So now we've got that figure, we'll do some maths. Right, we'll see if we can do this. I'm not sure how this will come out on paper, but we'll try anyway. The loaded round was 0.3115, okay? Can you see that? Yep, that's fine. Now, I know my neck chamber size is 0.313, okay? And I get that off the reamer print. So it gives us a gap of 0.0015 between the two, yeah? So you subtract that away from that. That's the clearance, okay? Right, so question is, how do I find out what size bushing I need in my neck sizing tool, this one, for resizing my necks once I've fired the brass. The brass that we've been working on so far also needs neck sizing before I can load it in the first times, because it's oversized at the moment. So what you do is get the 0.315 figure and minus a certain amount. If you speak to Wilson, they'll say 0.003. So they would say take off 3 thou, 0.003, okay? Personally, I think that's too much. What I want to take off is 1.5 thou. So when I size the brass back up, I'll size it 1.5 thou under the actual loaded round size, okay? So that brings me back to 0.310, okay? Which, believe it or not, is what we used in the size and die in the first place. So more luck than judgment there, but that is my size and die. That is the figure there that I will size all my brass with, because we know that the brass has been turned down, and once you see a bullet in there, that'll bring it back up to 0.3115. Right? That'll expand it back out. So there's 1.5 thou of neck tension holding the bullet in the case, alright? Okay. So there'll be 1.5 thou, I'll just go through that again, 1.5 thou of neck tension holding the bullet in the case. Wilson say between 2 and 3 thou, but I didn't want to nip it quite so tight as that, especially with the powders I'm using. I think that'll be it. Okay. So moving on from that, we now know that the bush and die now at 0.310 is correct, so we don't need to alter that. All we need to do now is take our practice brass, which we know because we can read it here. Okay, these cases need neck sizing, so what I'll do is I'll take out enough cases I'm going to need for my breaking in the barrel, and also working out some loads for the far foreman load, okay? And that is a whole new subject, we'll move on to that. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll take out 12 of them, or 14 of them, 16 of them rather, neck size them at 310, which you've seen me do, and hopefully in the next video that'll be the file foreman. Okay, just a quick update. I haven't missed any of the procedures out on film, and I'm not going to start now. I've just come to the point where we've just resized our virgin brass to 310 as we worked out, which I'll show you. I've got 4 groups of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. These will be my file foreman. These will be my cases for working out my file foreman load. So I know roughly where I'm going to be. I'll just work out my loads of powder in increments to make sure they're safe. Okay. On the right hand side, I've got 10 cases, which I will allow for scooping in the rifle and the scoop, and also breaking in the barrel at the same time. Hopefully 10 will be enough. If I need more than 10, this bit won't happen. The file foreman won't happen until I've got the barrel pointing in the same direction as the scoop, or the scoop pointing in the same direction as the barrel, and I'm happy that the barrel has been broken in. There are various methods of breaking in, but I'll show you mine. But that's just where we are now. So the next part of the process will be priming, because all these, obviously, these cases got no primers. We'll move on to priming. Okay. For our priming, we're going to need 2 bits of equipment. Well, 1 bit of equipment. That's the primer seater tool. This one is made by K&M. I've done a video on it in previous videos, done a product review, so I won't go into it too much, but that's what I'll be using. I'll be using CCI BR2 primers. I usually use Federal 210Ms, but I'm going to use the CCIs as a try, just for something different. See how we get on with them. Okay, so I'll just move the camera, then I'll seat these 30 odd cases. Okay, just quickly whiz through these. Primer, obviously, that way up. I'm doing a lot of these by feel. It's not quite how the K&M was meant to be used, but I've got used to it now. I know what sort of pressure I need to seat the case. The primers, I like to seat them touching the case head, and then just push them in so they're nice and seated properly, and crush them sort of a couple of thou. Just work my way through these. Just make sure each one is, obviously the case, the primer is dimpled in, not sitting on the outside of the case head, not long, so you can see that. You know, they're not protruding, is the word, I think. Okay, I'll just turn the video off now because the lights are not getting good, and I'll just whip through them with a 16. Right, you join me again now, finishing these. There should be 26 on there, time I'm all done. Right. As I said before, 10 for barrel breaking, and getting on paper, 0, that sort of thing, and then 4 lots of 4 for my file foreman, working up the load for the file foreman. Okay, next bit of the process now is actually we'll start putting some powder in. Right, for this part of the operation, I'll just give you a quick guide to what I'm using. I've got one of these Lyman long reach powder funnels, powder tricklers. It's a new purchase with the scales which I'm using, which I'll show you in a minute. I needed something with a bit longer reach, so we'll see how we go on with that. Okay, for my main scales, I'm going to be using my Aculabs. I'm not going to do all this work and then just be a bit hit and miss with the powder, so I'm going to see how they vary. Never used them for powder weighing, I just want to see what they're like. Obviously I've got my cases, which are all prepped, and the powder of choice for my far foreman is Reloader 17. Whether I actually go on to use this for my main load for my far formed brass once it's far formed, I don't know. But at the moment for the far formed, I'm going to use this. So I'll zero my scales, move the camera, and well, we'll weigh some out and see how consistent and how we go on with the scales. Right, so you can see all the cases now, they've got powder in, and you can see I've labelled each lot so I know exactly what I'm doing. When I start far formed, obviously it's got bullets in yet, but I can't do that until I get my rifle tomorrow, which we'll do. But once I start shooting, I'll start with the 51.5 and work my way up, looking for pressure signs. But till then, we don't pay a lot of attention to that. Just a quick note: you can see here that my 10 barrel breaking loads, I've done at 51.5, which are the lowest charge weight. Okay, for safety's sake. I know by going on the forums and doing a bit of research that probably I'll end up about 52.5 grains of Reloader 17 for this, so 51.5 I should be okay. Okay, let's start with some powder. I'm using a spoon just to get the bulk in, because that'll take me forever and a day to trickle up. So if I can get close with the spoon and then just finish off with a trickler. .5. I'll start with these over this side, the barrel breaking ones. There we go. Make sure you move the dropper on. I'll do another one. A bit too much. Just see what difference take that one kernel makes. Can't get no closer on that. So that's 2 done. You don't need to see me watch me fill these all up. I'll come back to it when I start working up the far fob load. Okay. Okay, that's my 10 breaking ones done. Now what I'll do is I'll start working my way down 51.5, 52, 52.5, 53. Okay guys, I don't need to show you that. There's so much the same, it's just different weights. So I'll come back to you when that's done. Okay, that's them done. Just trickle this one up. Okay, 53. That's it. Job done. What I need now is my rifle to find out the seat and depth, so we can actually stick some bullets in these. Okay. Okay guys, look what I received in the post today from my local RFD. I got my rifle. It's a it's a Robertson's GB F-class stock with a black base, neon red, neon blue over the top, and it's a bat action, MB action. I'll take some close-ups for you. With a dual, the bolt has been dualed. Okay. It's got a Bartlein gain twist barrel. It's 8.9 to 9.2 twist. So as the further down the barrel goes, the tighter the twist, marginally. Trigger, I went for a dual trigger set at 6 ounces. What else to tell you? It's been fully puller bedded, and really that's about it. Really. What I need to do now is obviously put the stock on, the scoop on, which we'll now do, and work out some load data, overall length and that sort of thing for my reloading. Okay guys, but that's the rifle. We'll work with it now and we'll press on. Okay, we come to the point where for my reloading for the cases we need a seat and depth. This I'll use by using the stony point method, which hopefully you're familiar with. Dummy case, bullet that I'm going to be using. The case is the calibre I'm using. The bullet goes inside the case, and by use of a rod, which I'll show you in a minute, we get a seat and depth. We then measure it using a bump gauge with a set of calipers. We use a pen and paper to write down the measurement. We do it 6 times, take the average. Okay guys? Okay. Just screw this onto the gauge. I've put a cleaning rod down from the muzzle end, because once I push the bullet up, as you'll see, the bullet will get jammed against the lens. So what I'll do is carefully, using the cleaning rod, I will just push the bullet back down towards the muzzle, down towards the chamber. Okay. What I do is insert this into the chamber until the shoulder hits the forward of the chamber. Then using the rod, I shall push the bullet forward, like so. Like so. Until it hits the chamber, okay? Then I'll lock it off with a lock nut here. What I'll then do is get a set of calipers with my bump gauge fitted, which I'll show you in a minute, and measure it. But let's get the first measurement first. So we'll just make sure it's nice and it's in the chamber, as you can see. Push it up till I feel it hit the start of the lens, and then tighten it up like that, and then withdraw it. Okay. Just get the cleaning rod, push the bullet back down, take the bullet out, pull the cleaning rod out of the way for the next one. Okay, so as you can see there, we've got a seat and depth. Okay, just put this onto my calipers, tighten up, make sure it's there, and then zero it. Okay, I'm not sure how you're going to be able to see this because the light is not fantastic. Okay, so that's it like that. Okay, make sure you got the shortest distance, 2.436. 2.436. Right, now we'll do it again. So you see, write it on a piece of paper, 2.436. Have another go. So exactly the same. Push it up. Make sure the case is all the way up to the shoulder. Push the grey rod up so the bullet is pushed out the neck, hitting the beginning of the rifling. Pull it out. It'll come out like that. Obviously we then need to push the bullet out with the rod. Like so. Grab the bullet. Okay. Make sure everything is in as it was, because you want to get this right. Make sure these are zeroed. They are. I'm doing a bit off camera here, you can't really see it, but I've got a measurement that time of 2.44. Oh well, that's 2.440 a minute ago. 2.4412. 2.442. This is why you need to do it a few times. Sometimes you're going to get a slight quirky one. You have to ignore them and go for the majority. Okay. I'll keep quiet now, and I shall do this another 4 times, so I'll just let you watch, okay? .439 that one. Now you can begin to say why we have segregated our bullets as much as we have. .441. Well, straight away I can see that the first one we did I'm going to ignore, so that is now crossed out. So we'll do, I still want to do an average of 6, so I'll do another 3, okay? You haven't got to force the bullet into the lands. You just got to be touching. Okay. By doing this also, once you've put several shots down the rifle, you can actually see how your throat is starting to be worn away, which will affect accuracy, obviously seat and depth and everything. So this is good practice. 2.441. Got a nice average here. One thing I will say, if you change a different type of bullet, you're going to have to do it all again. Obviously, it affects, you know, even when you get a new batch of bullets, I would double check it, because things are never the same. And different bullets, different shapes, they are definitely not the same. So just make sure the calipers are zeroed, they are. 2.441. I will do one more. May not seem necessary, but I said I'd do 6 and I'm going to do 6. Make sure everything is nice and tight. Hits the shoulder, push it up. You just feel it hit the lens. Draw it out. Push the bullet out. Make sure you take the cleaner rod out. Obviously if you stick a charge down there, something's not going to go according to plan. Right, last one. .441. Excellent. Okay, so I now know, when we go back to the cases that we loaded in preparation for the rifle, I now have a seating depth of what the bullets need to be seated, because being a VLD type bullet, they will probably, and I only say probably, shoot best touching the lands, but that'll be where I start my load development from. Okay guys, we'll go and seat some bullets. Okay, we've come to the last part. Just before we actually go out and test everything with the rifle, make sure it works, start some load development. We've got our paperwork where we done with the seating depth, so we know that to the O drive, it's not the overall length, but to the O drive, using our gauge, we're looking for a measurement of 2.441. So what we'll do now, if you just watch me, I've got 10 barrel break-in loads to do, and 16 actual loads to work up for my far form and load. I'll set the die up, and you'll see me tighten off and actually seat the bullets. The bullets I'm using are the 180 grain Burger VLDs. When we segregated them, I had some highs and some lows. I do use the bullets that I've got most of, because I'll be using them for my competition, so I'll use the ones, you know, the odds and sods, and there's enough here to do this lot, and hopefully a few more. Okay, so I'll crack on, and if you just watch, and I'll try and explain things as we go along. I've opened up the seating tool micrometer, so the bullet will seat fairly out at the moment. I'll close it. So what I'll do is I'll slowly try it until we get the near enough correct measurement. I'm using a little brass spoon because these dies are such a nice tight fit. Just to pull the case out, it doesn't do anything bar that. Right, now I've got somewhere there, I'll just give it a quick measure. 2.441 we'll look for. Just make sure these are zeroed, which they are. .559, so I need to come down 118, which on here is, that's 50, so that's 118, so I'm going to go 2 turns, or just short of 2 turns, and see how it affects it. I don't go under because then I start bullet pulling. Alright, just make sure they're nice and seat tight. Two, 4, 8, 4. Just below my nose because I'm full of cold, as you can hear. Excuse me. So we need to come down another 40 thou roughly. You can use these measurements on here, but I wouldn't take them as gospel. Like most things, it's trial and error. Just slacken this off so that it will go down a little bit easier. Think of amount of adjustment, so what there is, you can actually, didn't want to do that. Okay, a little bit of a disaster there, but I'll go over it. Lost the grub screw out of the micrometer top, so I had to rob one. Anyway, we'll press on. Two, 4, 6, 3. We're getting close. Another 20 thou. That may be too much. Nope. 2449. 8 thou less. Or 8 thou more. Right. I'm just going to slightly nip off this adjustment here. I don't know if you can see it, there's an adjustment Allen key that will lock us once we're quite happy with the seating depth. Right. Let's see where we are now. I don't know if you can see that one there. 2441. I will tighten that off. I will give everything a quick clean. Make sure everything is right. We'll do one more. Nice and steady. Give it a spin. 2442, so I just need to tweak that a little bit. So minuscule, it's unbelievable. Just reseat that. Obviously it's long. Still 2442. Right, I'll just loosen off a little bit more. And lock it down. The 2441. Excellent. Right, I'll crack on now and do these and just let you watch me, and then I'll meet you at the end. Things like concentricity, I'm not worried about it at this stage until I far form the cases, okay? Because the cases will be blown out and take on the chamber, and I know the chamber's concentric. Every other one I'll just check, just make sure things aren't going awry. 2241. So when I get to actually making competition loads later in the series, we'll be checking concentricity on everything. Right, finally just check that. Make sure that's zeroed. Yep. I don't know if you can see that. That's showing half a thou over, but I'm not going to worry about that at this stage. Right, so we've done the 10 barrel break-in. Now I'll move on to my far-forming load. I'll do one section at a time, right? I'll not talk now, I'll concentrate, because I don't want to get this wrong, because with Reloader 17, which is the powder I'm using, pressure signs, you don't get any, then all of a sudden they creep up on you fairly quick. So I don't want to get mixed up here, so bear with us lads. We'll get these done. Okay, one to go. It's been a long process getting to this point, but how F-class, what the competition, this discipline I shoot, well, check that last one while we're here. You need everything you can get out of your bullets and rifles. 2.441. To be honest, you can't say better than that. Okay, that's showing half a thou over. I'm not going to alter the die half a thou. I can live with half a thou at this moment in time. Okay, so all we need to do now is have a nice overcast day, not a lot of wind, get out on the range and take the stuff. I'm going to have a play and a bang. I'll work out my Farforeman load data, and then I'll have a play about with seat and depth. See if, because at the moment we know these bullets are touching. Every bullet I cycle will be touching the lands, so I may, if they shoot well, I'll leave them alone. But I may just see them for 10 thou further in the case and see if the jump makes a difference. That's about it, guys. Thank you very much. We'll move on to actually some shooting now. Cheers.